Chicory is one of the most emotionally complex remedies in Dr. Bach's system. It represents a heart that loves deeply but fears losing love even more. This fear creates possessiveness, emotional manipulation, and a constant need for reassurance. In this masterclass, we explore Chicory not just as a remedy but as a profound emotional archetype. You will learn how Chicory transforms emotional hunger into emotional fullness, helping individuals shift from clinginess and control to unconditional love and healthy boundaries. In this session, we dive into every dimension of Chicory. You will understand its emotional signature, how the plant's physical traits reveal its healing qualities, and how Dr. Bach's philosophy places Chicory within Group 7, the overcare for others group. We will explore developmental stages, spiritual transformation, energetic anatomy, differential diagnosis, clinical cases, remedy combinations, and practical applications. By the end, you will have a complete holistic understanding of Chicory's role in emotional healing. Dr. Bach taught that emotional imbalance is the root of all disharmony. When emotions become distorted, the energy field weakens, and physical symptoms eventually appear. Chicory represents a distortion of love, where affection becomes possessiveness, care becomes control, and giving becomes a transaction. Healing Chicory means restoring energetic disharmony by addressing the emotional wound at its core. This remedy helps individuals reconnect with authentic love, free from fear and dependency. Dr. Bach organized his 38 remedies into 7 emotional groups, each representing a fundamental human challenge. Chicory belongs to Group 7, Overcare for the Welfare of Others. This group includes personalities who interfere, control, or dominate, not out of malice, but out of emotional imbalance. Chicory stands out as the remedy for possessive love, where care becomes intrusive and affection becomes conditional. Understanding this group helps us see Chicory's deeper emotional architecture. Group 7 personalities often intrude into others' lives under the guise of helping. Chicory does this through emotional interference, guilt, and subtle control. The person believes they are caring, but their actions stem from insecurity and fear of losing connection. Love becomes mixed with anxiety, and care becomes a way to maintain emotional dominance. Chicory helps dissolve this pattern, allowing individuals to give freely without expecting emotional repayment. Chicory is one of the most common emotional states seen in families, relationships, and workplaces. It creates emotional suffocation, guilt, and dependency. Parents may overprotect, partners may cling, and colleagues may micromanage. But Chicory also offers one of the most beautiful transformations. It turns emotional hunger into emotional fullness. When healed, Chicory becomes a state of warm, unconditional love that respects boundaries and nurtures without controlling. The core Chicory state is defined by possessiveness, emotional manipulation, and fear of abandonment. The person often feels, I give so much. Why doesn't anyone appreciate me? This mindset leads to guilt inducing behavior, tears, and emotional bargaining. Chicory individuals struggle to let loved ones have autonomy, believing closeness must be maintained through control. The remedy helps dissolve these patterns, restoring emotional balance and trust. At the heart of Chicory lies a deep emotional hunger, an inner void that feels perpetually unfulfilled. No matter how much affection they receive, it never feels enough. They seek constant reassurance, turning love into a transaction where every act of giving expects an emotional return. This hunger stems from insecurity and fear of rejection. Chicory helps individuals shift from emotional dependency to emotional self sufficiency. Chicory patterns often begin in childhood, when love is conditional, given only when the child behaves or pleases parents. The child learns to cling to affection. Overprotective parenting also creates chicory tendencies, teaching the child that love must be controlled to remain safe. These early experiences shape adult behavior, where emotional manipulation becomes a strategy to maintain closeness. Chicory helps heal these childhood wounds by restoring trust and emotional independence. Doctrine of Signatures teaches that a plant's physical traits reveal its emotional healing qualities. Chicory's appearance mirrors its emotional pattern. It grows wildly, spreads aggressively, and clings firmly to the soil. These traits reflect possessiveness, emotional intrusion, and clinging behavior. Understanding the plant helps us understand the remedy. Chicory heals the emotional tendency to overgrow into others' lives and cling tightly out of fear. The chicory plant's physical behavior beautifully mirrors the emotional pattern of chicory personality. When we look at how this plant grows, we see a story unfolding. It grows wild and expansive, just like the emotional overgrowth seen in people who struggle with possessive love. Its aggressive spreading reflects how Chicory individuals often invade emotional space, becoming overly involved in others' lives. And that deep taproot, firmly clinging to the soil, symbolizes the stubborn emotional attachment and difficulty letting go. By observing the plant, we understand the remedy. Chicory teaches us to transform clinging and control into trust, spaciousness, and emotional freedom. The chicory flower carries a soft celestial blue tone, a color long associated with cooling emotional intensity and calming inner turbulence. The blue reflects the emotional journey of the chicory personality, moving from heated attachment and possessiveness toward serenity, clarity, and emotional spaciousness. The flower's color symbolizes the soothing effect chicory brings to the heart, helping individuals shift from desperate emotional neediness to a state of peaceful, self contained love. It's a reminder that true affection flows gently, not forcefully. Chicory grows along busy roadsides, always visible, always present, much like the Chicory personality, which seeks emotional visibility and acknowledgement. Its placement in high traffic areas mirrors the inner need to be noticed, appreciated, and emotionally validated. The twisting stems represent emotional entanglement, showing how Chicory individuals often weave themselves deeply into others' lives. This habitat teaches us that Chicory's healing lies in stepping back, allowing space, and learning that love does not require constant visibility. The chicory flower opens beautifully under sunlight, but closes tightly when conditions become harsh. This mirrors the chicory emotional pattern. When hurt, ignored, or rejected, the person withdraws dramatically, often with tears or emotional shutdown. They may sulk, become cold, or retreat into martyrdom. This plant behavior teaches us that chicory's emotional sensitivity is real, but healing comes from learning resilience, staying open even when conditions are not perfect, and trusting that Love does not disappear when challenges arise. Chicory behavior is rooted in emotional insecurity. The person clings physically or emotionally, seeking constant proximity to loved ones. They may induce guilt, overgive, or micromanage, all attempts to maintain closeness and control. These behaviors are not malicious. They are protective strategies developed over years of emotional fear. Chicory helps dissolve these patterns, allowing individuals to give without smothering, care without controlling, and love without demanding emotional repayment. In relationships, chicory often becomes suffocating. The person believes they know what's best for their partner and expects compliances as proof of love. Jealousy arises easily, and emotional dependency becomes the norm. They may interpret alone time as rejection or lack of affection. Chicory helps transform these dynamics by restoring trust, encouraging emotional independence, and teaching that love grows stronger when both partners have space to breathe, evolve, and express themselves freely. Chicory patterns appear in professional environments as well. The person may over-control tasks, refuse to delegate, or insist that every detail passes through them. Emotional interference becomes common. Personal feelings spill into team dynamics. Over time, this leads to burnout and resentment. Shikori helps individuals step back, trust others' abilities, and create healthier professional boundaries. It transforms workplace relationships from emotionally charged interactions into balanced, respectful collaborations. Shikori's emotional imbalance often manifests physically. Tightness in the chest, frequent crying, digestive knots, and psychosomatic symptoms like asthma or palpitations may appear. Energetically, the heart chakra becomes congested, and the person may unintentionally drain energy from close family members. Shikori helps release these blockages, restoring emotional flow and physical ease. As emotional dependency dissolves, the body relaxes, breathing deepens, and the heart feels lighter and freer. Chicory affects the emotional anatomy deeply. The heart chakra forms heavy cords, energetic attachments that bind the person to loved ones. The solar plexus develops knots, representing power struggles discussed as devotion. These cords and knots create emotional entanglement and fatigue. Chicory gently dissolves these attachments, restoring clean energetic boundaries. The person learns to love without binding, care without controlling, and connect without draining themselves or others. Chicory patterns are especially visible in children. They may cling to parents, cry when attention shifts elsewhere, or refuse to share toys. Separation anxiety is common. Tears become a tool to maintain closeness. These behaviors stem from fear of losing connection. Shikori helps children develop emotional security, independence, and confidence. Over time, they learn that love remains even when parents step away and that they can explore the world without fear of abandonment. In adults, Shikori becomes more sophisticated. Guilt tactics appear. Subtle statements like, "Don't worry about me, I will be fine alone." Emotional bargaining becomes common, and the person may exaggerate sacrifices to maintain moral superiority. They cross boundaries, over involve themselves in others' lives, and expect emotional repayment. Shikori helps adults reclaim emotional balance, communicate needs directly, and build relationships based on respect rather than dependency or guilt. At the heart of Chicory lies a deep emotional wound, the belief that love must be earned, controlled, or secured through constant involvement. This wound is not rooted in malice. It comes from a fear of being unlovable unless one becomes indispensable. Chicory individuals often feel that if they stop giving, helping, or sacrificing, others will drift away. This creates a painful cycle of overcare and emotional dependency. The remedy helps dissolve this wound, teaching that love is not conditional and one's worth does not depend on how much they do for others. The first stage of Chicory begins subtly. The person becomes hypervigilant about emotional cues, analyzing tone, facial expressions, or small changes in behavior. They frequently seek reassurance, asking questions like, are you upset with me? Or do you still care? This insecurity is the seed from which all later Chicory behaviors grow. At this stage, the person is not yet controlling, but they are deeply sensitive to perceived emotional shifts. Chicory helps stabilize this early imbalance before it evolves into more intense patterns. In the second stage, insecurity transforms into active clinging. The person begins crossing boundaries, organizing others' schedules, offering unsolicited advice, or inserting themselves into decisions. They may believe they are being helpful, but the underlying motive is emotional safety. Overattachment creates pressure on loved ones who may feel smothered or controlled. Chicory helps individuals step back, allowing relationships to breathe and evolve naturally without constant emotional monitoring. When subtle control fails, Chicory shifts into emotional bargaining. Tears, guilt, and martyrdom become tools to maintain closeness. Statements like, after everything I have done for you, or I guess I don't matter anymore, appear. This stage is not intentional manipulation, it's emotional desperation. The person fears losing connection and uses vulnerability as leverage. Chicory helps transform this pattern by restoring emotional security, enabling honest communication instead of emotional pressure. By the fourth stage, the Chicory individual becomes drained. Constant emotional monitoring, overgiving, and boundary crossing take a toll. They may cry frequently, feel unappreciated, or experience bitterness. Loved ones may withdraw, creating even more emotional strain. This exhaustion is a sign that the pattern has reached its limit. Chicory helps replenish emotional energy, teaching the person to give from fullness rather than fear, and to allow others to support themselves. In the fifth stage, the emotional system begins to shut down. Psychosomatic symptoms may appear: chest tightness, digestive issues, or dramatic withdrawal. The person may retreat into silence, coldness, or martyrdom, hoping others will notice their suffering and return with affection. This collapse is the final expression of the Chicory wound. Chicory helps dissolve the emotional knots that created this crisis, restoring balance, clarity, and the ability to connect without collapsing under emotional pressure. The final stage is the Chicory awakening, a profound emotional transformation. The person learns to love without clinging, give without expecting, and care without controlling. They grant others complete freedom, trusting that love does not require constant supervision. Emotional independence blossoms, and relationships become healthier, lighter, and more joyful. Chicory's positive state is one of the serene warmth, where affection flows naturally and generously without fear or demand. Chicory's spiritual dimension is about transmuting fear based attachment into divine freedom. The remedy teaches that love is not possession, it's a sacred energy that flows best when unrestrained. Chicory helps individuals shift from ego love, which clings and demands, to soul love, which blesses and liberates. This spiritual transformation is profound. It allows the person to experience relationships as expressions of soul's journey, not as emotional survival mechanisms. The soul lesson of Chicory is unconditional love. It teaches that genuine affection seeks nothing in return and exists independently of external validation. Emotional freedom arises when one stops binding others and begins trusting the natural flow of relationships. Chicory guides individuals towards self fulfillment, helping them source validation from within rather than relying on others. This shift creates a powerful sense of inner peace and spiritual maturity. Chicory works deeply on the heart chakra, dissolving psychic hooks and emotional cords that bind the person to loved ones. These cords often drain both parties, creating fatigue and emotional tension. As Chicory heals the heart center, it restores clean energetic boundaries, allowing love to flow freely without entanglement. The result is radiant emotional independence, a heart that gives generously while remaining centered, grounded, and spiritually aligned. Chicory often reflects deep ancestral patterns passed down through generations. Many families carry emotional habits of guilt based nurturing, overprotective mothering, or love mixed with obligation. These patterns become embedded in the emotional DNA of the lineage. Shikori acts as a karmic breaker, dissolving inherited emotional debts and freeing individuals from repeating the same progressive, possessive, or guilt driven behaviors. Healing Chikori is not just personal, it liberates future generations from emotional bondage and restores a healthier, freer way of loving. The higher self message of Chikori is simple yet profound. Love is freedom. It teaches that genuine affection does not bind, control, or demand. It liberates. When we allow others to be themselves, we honor their soul's journey and our own. Shikori helps individuals shift from fear based attachment to trust based connection. It reminds us that love is not lost when we give space. In fact, it grows stronger. This message becomes a guiding principle for emotional maturity and spiritual evolution. The positive Chikori state is one of radiant generosity and emotional independence. The person gives freely without expecting anything in return. They respect boundaries, allowing loved ones to grow without interference. Their warmth becomes universal, not limited to a select few, but extended to all without conditions. In this state, Chikori individuals embody the nurturing archetype in its purest form, supportive, loving, and deeply compassionate, yet never controlling or possessive. Chicory and Heather may appear similar, but their emotional motivations differ greatly. Chicory seeks emotional closeness through possessiveness and guilt, wanting loved ones to stay near. Heather, on the other hand, seeks attention through constant talking and self focused storytelling. Heather needs an audience. Chicory needs emotional control. Understanding this distinction helps practitioners choose the remedy correctly, ensuring emotional healing is precise and effective. Chicory and Holy both deals with intense emotions, but their expressions differ. Chicory's intensity comes from possessiveness and fear of losing love. Holy's intensity comes from jealousy, anger, suspicion, and emotional aggression. Holy reacts outwardly with fiery emotions, while Chicory reacts inwardly with hurt feelings and guilt. Chicory wants to hold on, Holy wants to lash out. This differentiation is crucial for accurate remedy selection. Chicory and red chestnut both focus on loved ones, but for different reasons. Chicory seeks control to maintain emotional closeness. Red chestnut fears for others' safety and well-being, often imagining worst-case scenarios. Chicory's concern is self-centered. I need you close. Red chestnut's concern is other-centered. I fear something may happen to you. Chicory binds, red chestnut worries. This distinction helps clarify emotional motivations. Chicory and wine both exert influence, but their methods differ. Chicory uses emotional dominance, guilt, tears, affection, and subtle manipulation. Wine uses authoritative dominance, commands discipline and force. Chicory controls through emotional need. Wine controls through power and authority. Chicory says, do this because I care. Wine says, do this because I said so. Understanding this difference ensures remedies are chosen with precision. Chicory and Willow both experience emotional hurt, but their responses differ. Chicory expresses hurt openly, using guilt or tears to regain closeness. Willow internalizes hurt, becoming resentful, bitter, and quietly sulking. Chicory demands attention. Willow withdraws into victimhood. Chicory manipulates through emotional involvement. Willow manipulates through passive suffering. This contrast helps practitioners identify the deeper emotional pattern. Chicory openly expresses emotional needs, complaints, and demands for attention. Agrimony hides emotional pain behind humor, cheerfulness, and distraction. Chicory clings, agrimony avoids. Chicory wants closeness, agrimony fears confrontation. While Chicory uses emotional intensity to maintain connection, agrimony uses emotional masking to avoid discomfort. Recognizing this difference prevents misdiagnosis and ensures the correct remedy is used. Chicory corrects others out of emotional attachment, wanting loved ones to behave in ways that maintain closeness. Beach criticizes others out of intolerance for imperfection and rigid standards. Chicory's interference is emotional. Beach's criticism is intellectual. Chicory says, I am correcting you because I care. Beach says, I am correcting you because you are wrong. This distinction highlights the emotional versus judgmental nature of each remedy. This case highlights a classic Chicory pattern in parenting. The mother deeply loves her son, but her love is mixed with fear and emotional dependency. She uses guilt whenever he spends time with others, especially in laws, interpreting his independence as rejection. Chicory helps dissolve this emotional clinginess, allowing her to support his autonomy without feeling abandoned. After treatment, she becomes calmer, more trusting, and genuinely encouraging, proving how Chicory transforms possessive love into unconditional support. In romantic relationships, chicory often appears as jealousy, constant texting, and emotional monitoring. The partner may interpret alone time as a lack of love, demanding reassurance throughout the day. This creates pressure and emotional fatigue for both sides. Shikori helps restore trust and emotional independence. After treatment, the partner becomes more secure, comfortable, giving space, and capable of nurturing their own interests. The relationship becomes healthier, lighter, and more balanced. In professional settings, Chicory manifests as micromanagement and emotional interference. The manager may insist on reviewing every detail, believing their involvement is essential. When colleagues act independently, they feel hurt or offended. Chicory helps release this emotional need for control, allowing the person to delegate effectively and respect boundaries. After treatment, team morale improves, productivity increases, and the manager feels less burdened and more confident in others' abilities. Children with Chicory tendencies often cry when parents leave the room, cling tightly, and demand constant attention. They may become possessive of toys or insist that others play by their rules. These behaviors stem from fear of losing connection. Chicory helps children develop emotional security, independence, and confidence. After treatment, they play more freely, interact comfortably with peers, and trust that their parents' love remains even after they are not physically present. This case reflects the adult Chicory pattern of emotional bargaining. The person frequently says, I do everything for this family, using sacrifice as leverage for affection or compliance. They may cry during conflicts or withdraw dramatically to gain sympathy. Shikori helps dissolve this pattern by restoring inner worth and emotional clarity. After treatment, the person communicates needs directly, gives without expecting repayment, and experiences a profound sense of self value. Clinically, Chicory patients often show rapid emotional improvement once the remedy begins working. Crying spells reduce, chest tightness eases, and psychosomatic symptoms diminish. Family members frequently report feeling lighter and less suffocated. The person becomes more emotionally stable, less reactive, and more capable of respecting boundaries. Shikori's healing is noticeable not only in the individual but also in the relational environment around them. Chikori's transformation is profound. Before treatment, love feels possessive, demanding, and transactional. Emotions are hurt, clingy, and fearful. Behavior becomes manipulative or guilt inducing. After treatment, love becomes unconditional and empowering. Emotions become calm and trusting. Behavior shifts to genuine support and respect. This chart illustrates how Chikori moves individuals from emotional hunger to emotional fullness, a complete shift in how they give and receive love. Chicory is typically taken as 2 drops in water 4 times daily or added to a treatment bottle. Consistency is key, especially during emotionally intense periods. The remedy works best when paired with self reflection practices such as journaling about boundaries, emotional triggers, and patterns of overcare. Over 2 to 4 weeks, individuals often notice increased emotional stability, reduced clinginess, and a healthier sense of independence. Chicory combines beautifully with other batch remedies. Red chestnut helps overprotective parents release fear. Heather supports individuals who feel lonely and crave attention. Holy helps when possessiveness turns into jealousy or anger. Walnut assists during transitions, helping break old emotional patterns. Pine helps when guilt is turned inward. These combinations enhance Chicory's healing, addressing deeper layers of emotional imbalance. Chicory is especially helpful during major life transitions. During breakups, it helps release emotional attachment without bitterness. During emptiness phases, it supports parents in allowing children to grow independently. In marriage, it helps partners shift from dependency to mutual respect. During separation or relocation, Chicory fosters emotional autonomy, helping individuals adapt without clinging or collapsing emotionally. A powerful Chicory meditation involves visualizing a blue flower blooming at the heart center. This symbolizes emotional clarity and unconditional love. Imagine dissolving tight cords or energetic strings connected to loved ones, releasing emotional pressure. Then visualize radiating freedom, blessing others with love while standing firmly in your own light. This meditation deepens Chicory's healing, restoring emotional independence and spiritual alignment. Affirmations help reinforce Chicory's positive state. I love freely and unconditionally. Shifts the heart from fear to openness. I release all expectations of return. Dissolves transactional patterns. I allow others the freedom to be themselves. Strengthens healthy boundaries. Repeating these affirmations daily helps anchor Chicory's transformation, creating lasting emotional maturity and inner peace. Chicory's core issue is emotional hunger, a deep insecurity and fear of losing love. The remedy transforms this into emotional fullness, helping individuals feel secure, grounded, and self contained. Chicory teaches that love does not need to be controlled or earned. It flows naturally when we release fear and trust the emotional bond. This shift is the essence of Chicory's healing journey. The gift of Chicory is pure unconditional love. It allows individuals to nurture without clinging, support without controlling, and care without expecting anything in return. Chicory brings spiritual maturity, the ability to honor one's own soul journey while respecting the freedom of others. It transforms relationships, families, and inner emotional landscapes with profound grace. Love is freedom. Chicory helps you return to that truth. This closing message captures the essence of Chicory's transformation. When emotional hunger dissolves, love becomes expansive, peaceful, and unconditional. Chicory guides individuals back to their authentic heart, a heart that gives freely, receives openly, and trusts deeply. That is the true healing power of Chicory. Thank you.